coming up next, we have a very special guest, another special speaker, Sheriff Bob Songer. He's the sheriff of Klickitat County, and he's going to talk about setting up a constitutional posse in your county. Give him a round of applause.
Well, good morning. Well, almost noon. How many of you out here are veterans? Raise a hand. Yeah, good. How many of you are over 70? Well, the reason I asked that question, I was at a Republican dinner, Lincoln dinner, in Klickitat County. And that's a big thing in Klickitat County because we're in a very blue, woke state, unfortunately. And I was standing in the line to get some food, and there was a young lady standing behind me. She said, "Sheriff, are you a gangbanger?" And I thought, what the world is she talking about? I turned around and said, "No, I'm not a gangbanger." She said, "Well, you wear your pants like that." I went out the next day and bought suspenders. When you get old, you get a flat butt and a pop belly, and the pants don't stay up. On a more serious note, Doug Turnbull, gentleman over there, going to be running for sheriff in Idaho. Good state. You know, in Idaho, they don't even require anymore, I've been told, their citizens to have a concealed weapons permit. They can carry it concealed. Of course, I imagine if they're convicted felons or whatever, might not be able to do that. But anyway, I'm going to read a little passage here that he handed me, and it's so true. When sheriffs do not put their oath in action by interposing, the Constitution is rendered toothless, and the government is unrestrained. How true that is. How true that is. I want to thank Sheriff Mack for allowing me to be here today. He's an outstanding man, and his helpers, Sam and the rest of there's too many to name. But anyway, they're outstanding people, and they are the real answer to our future. Constitutional Sheriffs and Peace Officers Association. Also, my wife Fran, my brother Bill, and my sister Pat are here because they knew me. Well, at least my brother and sister knew me when I was a juvenile, and they're surprised I'm even in law enforcement. Kicked out of school a couple times. Anyway. 2016, it became reality with me. That's when I got elected sheriff in 2014, took office in 2015. It became apparent to me in 2016, we had a governor, Jay Inslee, and the Attorney General, Bob Ferguson. They were far left, woke individuals. They were taking our gun rights away through I-1639. And I told the citizens of our county, no way in hell will I enforce an unconstitutional law, even if they passed it. None. Just because the legislatures in your state or Congress passes a law that goes against the rule of law, which is the U.S. Constitution, then that law is null and void, and any sheriff worth his salt will not enforce it. Anyway, I can assure you I'm not on the governor's Christmas list. In fact, they've tried to pass a law. You got to look at Washington. It is so upside down from reality, it's unreal. But I'll get into the posse thing in just a second here. But I think it's important to state that the Constitution is the rule of law. That's the bottom line. And when you have people that do not follow the Constitution, and we've had some speakers up here that have done an outstanding job, and this gentleman that just left here, pointing out how the American public's been hoodwinked, basically, propaganda, and scare the hell out of people. If you don't get a shot or wear a mask, oh my God, you're going to get arrested and all this. That brings up the point of COVID-19 in the state of Washington. When they first come out with a dictate from the governor, state of emergency, Washingtonians, health and welfare. When they came out with that, it scared the living hell out of people. And if you didn't have a mask on, you're going to kill people by spreading the germs. Well, after about a week, that didn't make a hell of a lot of sense. Because I'd wear a mask going into a restaurant, but if I sat down, I didn't have to have a mask on. So that virus only traveled at a certain length or height. Anyway, I came out publicly and stated in press releases and so forth in our county that I would not enforce mask wearing, vaccinations. Where in the hell does a government get off telling you how you treat your own health? They should not be able to mandate vaccinations on you or your children or, this was a good one. You could have your Christmas party or your Thanksgiving dinner, but you could only have 6 people over. No, that's serious. That's what these idiots did. Anyway, I got a call from one far left woke character on the phone. He said, Sheriff, there's about 10 people out here in Lyle, little town there in Klickitat. And they're all in a crowd there in a parking lot, and they don't have masks on. They're standing next to each other. You need to do something about it. The governor's coming out with his order. I started to laugh. I said, no, I'm not going to do anything about it. What do you mean you're not going to do anything about it? I said, I'm not going to violate their individual rights under the Constitution. And at that point, he called me a few names and slammed down the phone. But that's okay. That's okay. He's entitled to his opinion under the First Amendment. I get people that hate my guts. They're entitled to that under the First Amendment. I may not agree with them, but they're entitled to that thought. So I fought the COVID thing in Washington State in our county, Klickitat County, and the anti-gun laws they've come out in that state, I will not enforce in my county. The nice thing about it, the guy said, Sheriff, you have to. It's a state law. Well, the law, in my opinion, is unconstitutional. And I have latitude whether I enforce laws or not. He says, you don't have that latitude. If it's a state law, you got to enforce it. No. Because if that's the case, every time my deputy stops somebody for speeding, they're going to get a ticket. No verbal warnings. You just follow it. Well, that's different. I said, no, it's not different. If I believe that I'm violating somebody's constitutional rights, then I am not going to enforce that law. So, let me get into this posse. In 2014, I was elected to sheriff. Oh, by the way, I'm a newcomer to law enforcement. This is my 55th year in law enforcement. So I've been around the horn a little while, a little short in the tooth and elsewhere. Anyway, I've been around the horn. The bottom line is community policing is an answer. It's not the total answer, but it is an answer. We have a large mass of land, 1,400 square miles, 22,000 population. We border the Yakima Indian Reservation. And we're lucky if we have 3 deputies on a shift. That's a lot of area to cover. In over 20 years, the Klickitat County Board of County Commissioners have not hired one additional deputy. Over 20 years. Population is growing, the call loads are up, the domestic violence, the mental health issues, all of it. It's gone out of hand. So what I did in 2014, I established a community policing program I call the Sheriff's Posse. Kind of history with sheriffs, right? I call them the Sheriff's Posse. They're good citizens. We do a background check for those who volunteer to come and be a member of the Sheriff's Posse. But their job, I got about 150 members right now. Their job is like a county-wide crime watch. They have placards on the side of their vehicle, magnetic placards. Klickitat County Sheriff Posse Patrol with a star. All volunteer. When they're driving around the county, their job, observe, document, and report. So if they see crime in progress or the possibility of something going on like that, they're to call. Document it, call. Everybody's got cell phones. Get a photo. And anyway, so we started that program. My posse is more than just a ceremonial posse riding horses on a parade or something like that. They do traffic control at the parades, special events. We have rodeos, county fairs. I could go on and on, all kinds of events. Without the posse, I would not be able to provide deputies to those events because I wouldn't have anybody on the road to answer 911 calls. So the posse saves our backhind, serious. I allow them to carry a gun if they choose to carry a gun. Not all the posse members do. But if they choose to, and they're in uniform, we have posse uniforms. They go through the NRA training, through classroom training, and they are qualified on the firing range itself. They help us in courtroom security. Keep in mind, all this volunteer. Courtroom security. I have 6 pilots in our county that fly for us at no cost to the taxpayer. When fire season, they're flying around looking for smoke where there shouldn't be smoke. If we're looking for a bad guy in a vehicle, they're up. We can call them at any time. 6, that's a real savings to the county, a partnership. I have 6 hound handlers. State of Washington, state law, been sued a couple times. So far it's not materialized. I have hound handlers who go after problem predators, cougar, bear, and bobcat. Now you would think, cougar? Well, we have a deer population in Goldendale of about 40 or 50 headed deer. They even use a crosswalk when they go across the street. So what draws the cougars into the area? Cougars. Deer. That's their main thing. Anyway, the posse helps us tremendously. They do a ride along with our deputies because we're single-man units. We don't have the manpower to be double units. We have a reserve program that helps us out as well. But they go through a reserve academy, so when the reserves are out, they actually have law arrest authority and so forth. And we also do the timber patrol for the ranchers and the timber companies up in the Klickitat County area. So for a small county, we have a lot of activity. What I suggest to sheriffs who might be thinking about having a posse, I have a thumb drive here. You can put it on your computer. It's got the policies and procedures, what posse members go by. It's got the application for background checks and the history of the posse in our county. But let me tell you, when I first created the posse, oh my God, the liberals' hair caught on fire. Oh, Jesus. The sheriff Songer's running around out there with his posse, and they're hanging immigrants from trees. Because our illustrious governor made the state of Washington a sanctuary state. ACLU jumped in there. I call that the American Criminals Union, but Anyway. So, over time, though, when they found out that the posse wasn't actually out there, in their minds, violating people's rights, and found out they were really good citizens, helping their sheriff out to police the county, that attitude's changed. Oh, we still have that hardcore left progressive whack jobs in our county that are always going to be that way. You're not going to change your mind, and of course they're entitled to their opinion, you know. But we find that a posse is doing an excellent job for us. I've had sheriffs from other states reach out and ask for the policies and procedures. Anybody interested? I'll be around here all day. I have copies, well, 3 copies of the policy and procedure itself and the application, and I got a thumb drive, so if you got a computer, we can transfer it right over and do that. So I know that it's probably pretty close to lunchtime, isn't it? What time is it? Oh, right on the button. All right. Anyway, I can't praise Sheriff Mack enough. I first got to meet him in 2016 when we were fighting our gun laws there in the state of Washington. I had a real quick, and I'll cut it off. I get stuck on these gun law issues. It really upsets me. I had an elderly gentleman come into my office. Sheriff, he says, am I going to get in trouble? I have this Glock pistol, and I got a 17-round magazine, and I see where the state now is required, that would be illegal. You can only have a 10-round magazine. I said, I don't give a hell chance. You're not going to get in trouble. You can have a 30-round magazine if you choose. Not in Klickitat County. Thank you.